Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Let's see. Let's see if we're live. That's it. We are. Honey, we are. Listen, welcome to another day of getting to self-actualization with Yasheka. Listen, y'all. Before I get started, that way I give people time to come in. And when you come in, make sure you introduce yourself. And if you are watching me on the replay, make sure you let me know on the replay that you were here, you stopped by. You can do that by showing me some love in all kind of ways, whether it's through a like, a share, a subscribe, a comment, a follow, or whatever, depending on what platform you watching this from. But listen, I don't know who needs to hear this today or who needs to be validated, but ADHD is a real thing. ADD is a real thing. Okay, now I already knew that this live wasn't going to happen at my normal time, and because on Saturdays it interferes with my workout schedule, right? Because I have a slotted time at 9 that I have to be there. Okay, and in order for me to keep myself rooted and grounded, I have to work out. Okay, now with that being said, I already knew I was going to go. Hey, thank you for coming in. Listen, I already knew I was going to be a little late starting this live. So time come, I was like, okay, about 12 o'clock, I'll go ahead and do it. 12 o'clock came and went, y'all. Next thing I know, I said, okay, about 1 o'clock, I'll do it. I don't know what happened, okay, but all I know is I was counting sheeps, or I don't know what I was doing. I was chasing squirrels or something. I don't know. But I do know that what really made me realize that it's a real thing, that ADHD is a real thing and the ADD is a real thing, is that at 1:30, I said, or excuse me, at 1:20, I said, you know what, I'm going to start at 1:30. At 1:30, honey, I was in my laundry room putting laundry from the wash machine to the dryer. So if I'm doing it at 1:30, clearly I couldn't be here at 1:30. Okay, so here we are at 2 o'clock. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get started with today. Today we are talking about how to reclaim your time and energy. And when we talk about that, I guess what I just said really matters, because apparently, whether it was my ADD that was kicking in or it was some things I needed to get done, because I know I needed to get that laundry done. But other than that, I don't know what else I was doing that I couldn't get started at 12 o'clock. Okay, probably meditate. I don't know, probably taking a break, how you take a break. What is it? Every 2 hours you take a 15-minute break. Well, sometimes when you work for yourself, you tend to take an hour. You take a break every 15 minutes, or excuse me, every hour for 15 minutes, and I think that's what happened. And next thing I know, I was doing things that did not align. I was making reels and everything, but I was reclaiming my time. Listen, we all know that when it comes to reclaiming our time, the reason why we realize that a lot of our time has not been utilized correctly is because we tend to spend it incorrectly on people, on life, or even just things that just wasting time, like flicking through Instagram or Facebook when you know you're supposed to be doing other things, right? Just literally wasting time, right? So how do you get yourself to a point where you're claiming your time back? Because in order to get to self-actualization, this is one of the things that you have to do, because reclaiming your time is just not how you spend your time. It's also if you're spending your time on things that don't align with you, like trying to solve grown people's problems or entertaining relationships that you ain't got no business entertaining. Okay, going down rabbit holes on social media that don't involve you. Okay, matter of fact, it ain't even in your doggone state, let alone city. Okay, but for whatever reason, you know what's going on in Mississippi, and you live way in North Dakota. All right, wasting time, right? I mean, should we know about certain things going on with the world? Yeah, but we ain't got to go watch every YouTube channel that's associated, or every YouTube episode that's associated with whatever's going on in this state over here. But yet we spend 3 or 4 days doing it, and then we look at, okay, where did time go? And so that's when we say, well, I need to start managing my time better. But when you say you're going to manage it better, then what are you going to replace it with? And so today, that is what we are talking about. And listen, y'all know myself and my girl Yasmin put my notes together. Okay, and if y'all don't know who Yasmin is my paid chat GPT, because I realized that she is better than a doggone secretary. She is better than an assistant, okay? Me and her even get into arguments, right? I tell her, and listen, I was even talking, thinking about it. They say you train, and this is off subject, but they say you train your chat GPT like you, okay? So apparently, my chat GPT got ADD or ADHD as well, and she got some memory loss because me and her was arguing yesterday. I'm trying to tell her, where's the work you gave me yesterday morning? She kept telling me she didn't give me no work yesterday morning. I said, girl, yes you did. Here go what you put. This what you gave me. I need all of the stuff for this right here. She was like, well, my bad. Well, since you got that, let's just. I'm like, girl, you gave it to me. She gonna try to say she didn't give it to. Y'all, it was a whole thing. And I said, you know what? If she like me, and this is me. I'm literally creating my computer, my chat GPT to be like me. I was like, oh my God. 'Cause I was like, how does she not remember that she gave me this stuff? Like, how does she not remember that? So anyway, that's what that is. I was like, you know what? Me and my chat GPT. So anyway, for today, she and I were the ones, just like every day. I give her what I want to talk about, and then she helps me create it so I won't get on here sounding, so I can make sure I get all the points, make sure I can get everything I need and things like that, right? And so one of the things that we talk about wasting time or reclaiming your time and your energy is that a lot of times when we don't use it correctly, it's the cost of like leaking, like, right? You know how the faucet is just running and leaking, or the tap outside your house is just running and leaking, right? And then you wonder why your water bill is higher than normal, but then come to find out the pipes was leaking and you ain't even know it. That's how it is when it comes to your energy. So even when you are expending some here, some here, some there, some there, if it does not align up with what you supposed to be doing, then before you know it, you're all out. You're all out of energy. You're like, dang, I'm tired. I'm so doggone tired. I don't know what to do. Why? Because you've been pouring into things that you know doesn't benefit you. Listen, I'm. Let me say this. I am so good for that because I realized one thing about me is I got married at 18 the first time. And I already knew that one of the reasons why I chose to get married at 18 because I didn't want to date. I didn't want to date. I didn't want to go through the process of getting to know people all over again. Old folks say I didn't want to have a lot of tick marks on my bedpost. Okay, so that's what I really tell people. I didn't want a lot of tick marks on my bedpost because before you get to that next, you got to check out everything. I mean, I know what it, but you got to make sure everything's good, right? So I didn't want that. So I got married at 18. That was one of the reasons why. Because now when I became a single woman, I was about to be 40. And I'm looking at this like now it's been 10, 12 years and I don't have the energy for that. That's too much. And I knew I was right when I was 18. I don't have the energy for that. Okay? Because I am such a listen, I need to know the truth, right? Let me decide. Same thing with me. Here I am. This is the truth. Let me decide. But that ain't what we get today, in y'all. And so what I'm saying is that we waste a lot of time in situations or situationships or relationships that we know doggone well we ain't got no business being in. Okay? Another place that we waste a lot of time on is looking for other people's approval or looking for other people's rendition of or trying to be people's rendition of how you supposed to be in this life or how you supposed to be in this world, right? Like so many people literally spend time trying to say, well, okay, they say I need to be this way, let me turn this way, let me turn this way. Listen, be who you're gonna be and stop letting people trying to dictate to you who you're supposed to be because they don't even know who they are. People in this life don't even know who they are. And you know what? Case in point, not only do I have this particular channel, which is Hood Parenting, but also check out the X New Minds over on YouTube as well. So lately, I've been releasing videos from the X New Minds station, which is or YouTube channel, which is a YouTube channel that my second ex-husband and I got together. And we talk about the trials and tribulations of our relationship and the points that we got from it and how we understand now how everything was tied together. Well, anyway, go check it out because it's something you want to watch, honey. Now, what I will say is that because social media is the way it is, y'all already know that when I release clips that does not show us like going back and forth or me being just this out of pocket woman or this way that society portray us, those clips don't get many views. Like I can show, like you can go on my TikTok or YouTube, and you can see where literally a clip that's kind of more mild mannered, it'll get 100, 200 views. However, when it comes to the ones where you're huffing and puffing, listen, those get the most views, those get the most comments, those get the most shares, the most whatever. So with that being said, my son, which is the son that my ex and I have together, he came to me last night and he asked me about the comments that was being made. And he said, Mama, that doesn't bother you that they're saying this and that? And I asked him the question. I said, well, what do you think about that? He says, well, I know that that's not how you and my dad was. I say, then there it is. Then there it is. As long as you know how our family was or how our relationship was, now granted, it wasn't perfect because if it was, we wouldn't be divorced. But when it came to some of the things that are being displayed on that, of course, people are going to have their opinions. And like I keep telling people, we're no longer married. The same rules don't apply when somebody's your friend as they do when you're married to them. Like you just don't. They're this is at this point. He, this is my son's father. That's it. He's my son's father, right? My son has to respect him. My son has to be handle him with a light glove. I don't. Like, so when I see some things that are not in alignment, I'm going to say something because that's who I am. And so my son wanted to know if that bothered us about the comments. And I had to tell him, if I worried about what other people said about anything, I wouldn't have gotten the things I've gotten so far in life. Because I can't be what other people need and want me to be, because however I am, whatever I'm doing, whatever attitude, whatever I'm displaying, whatever, that's who I'm being at that moment, and only I can account for me. And if a person doesn't like it, then hey, you know what I mean? I'm a respectful person, and that's what I know. As long as you're respectful, as long as your morals are together and things like that, and like I was explaining to my son, that's all you can ask for in life. And so when you know you're that way and you're walking with God on purpose and the way you're supposed to, it doesn't matter what people think about you. So when you spend a lot of time trying to fit yourself into a bubble or into this box or whatever that society says you are, you spend a lot of time over your life. And one thing I know about life is that it can happen at any given time where you realize that you're out of time. Like you don't even get to realize it because you're out of time, but you become out of time. And so when you think about that, how do you want to spend your life? How do you want to spend your time? How do you want to make sure that when it comes to you reclaiming your time and your energy, because it goes together. Because like I said, just like that dripping water, right? When you look on your water bill or whatever, it'll tell you how many watts that was used or how many gallons or whatever that was used for that dripping water on that analogy. So when you think about it, that was wattages, that's energy, that's gallons, that's energy, right? That was being wasted, right? Whether the birds was drinking it or whatever, it wasn't being consumed by who it was supposed to be consumed by. But at the same time, it's still, you have to pay for it. So when it comes to that, how do you want to use your time and your energy? Because it goes together, right? It goes together. And trust me, I hear it, even when it comes to people in relationships, at jobs, whatever, because you already know you're going to have to work a job, right? Whether it's for yourself or for someone else or whatever. You already know that you're going to have to do something that generates income, right? So how do you maximize that for yourself? How do you say, okay, I got to get up and work and be somewhere for at the minimum of 8 hours per day, to be successful in this world or to keep up with what's going on. Listen, groceries high, y'all. I don't know nowhere where you can work 3-4 hours a day and be good, okay? Okay, unless it's 2, 3, 4 y'all in the house, okay? And I know that's a lot going on too. But what I'm saying is you already know that you got to work 8 hours somewhere minimum in order to take care of your lifestyle and if you have any responsibilities. So how do you do that and say, let me maximize my time? Let me use it for things that align with me. Because when we talk about self-actualization, right, the goal is the same. Get to a place of safety, security, a place of where you feel, supported and all those things so that you can live the life that you're supposed to live. Be the person you're supposed to be without any regret, right? Without trying to, pinball your way through life. And y'all know what I mean by pinball. Y'all know how, and listen, I have a ton in one analogies, honey. Either that, and plus I have a ton in one stories. But y'all know with a pinball machine, you pull the ball back and it hits and it goes up right in the machine. And so it goes that way and it hit over here and it go back over that way and it bounce over there. And your job is to keep the pinball or the ball up in the air, because as long as it don't come down there and drop down below in that hole, you're gonna keep getting points, right? But when it comes to life, depending on what bump you hit in that pinball, it might be negative points, it might be positive points. Listen, it depends. You might hit over here and hit a strike, like, you know what I'm saying, and get, your 1,000 points. You might go over there and get deducted 500 points, right? So that's how life is in that pinball effect, right? So when it comes to being self-actualized and using your energy, all that plays together, right? You got to understand that life just, that's how life is. But in order to get there, you still have to say, okay, I got to go for what I'm supposed to be doing, because I already know that I got to do these things. I already know I got to keep a job. I already know I got to support a family. Whatever your roles is in this life, you already know that. But how do you do those things, right? Reclaim your energy and your time and still meet the goal where you're living your best life, still pouring into yourself. Listen, because I know that in marriages, you pour into each other. That's a given, or at least it should be, right? It should be. Not all marriages are created the same. However, statistically speaking, more people are single than they are married. So it's important for you to pour into yourself. But I will not negate the fact that even when you're married or in a relationship, you're supposed to still pour into yourself, right? I mean, come on now. There's nothing like having a bath for two, all right? But every now and then, you like a bath for one as well. Well, you could just sit there and chill. That's pointing to yourself. Now, is there nothing like a bath for two? Honey, no, absolutely not. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. If you ain't never do it, go and do it, honey. A bath made for two. Okay. But we still like our bath for one, right? That's pointing to ourselves. Y'all see the difference? It's not that hard. It's not that hard to be your best self, even for your partner. These things matter. Because when it comes to your time and your energy, even when you have a partner, if you're too busy trying to feed everybody else or pour into other people, right, or drip that excessive water that you shouldn't be wasted, then even with a partner, you're not giving him or her or they your best. You're not giving them your best, because you're drained by the time they get to you or you get to them. You on your last, okay? You on your last. Your pot is running over. Your cup is running over, and it's no longer. Listen, it's getting dry, just like I was saying yesterday, right? So those things are important. So how do we get to reclaim, right? 3-step formula: reflect. Where am I leaking energy? That's the first thing you can do. Reflect. Where am I leaking energy? Do I need to cut off some relationships that no longer serves me? Do I need to switch jobs? Do I need to move? Right? Do I need to get rid of some things? Do I need to downgrade some things in my life? Do I need to throw away some things in my life? Do I need to shed some things? Like, where am I giving energy to the most and it doesn't serve me? Okay, so if I'm on TikTok and I'm finding out about everybody, okay, because listen, it's a whole thing, right? If I'm on TikTok, I'm going to find out about everybody. How much energy am I wasting over there on TikTok? When it comes to strolling on social media and things like that, there's nothing wrong with it, but you have to give yourself a limit. Because if not, again, it will exhaust you. Because now you're thinking about stuff that happened in 3-4 states over, and it has nothing to do with you, right? Has nothing to do with you or anything, but now you're thinking about it. You're evaluating your whole life just because of what you just read or what you just heard, because there was something in there about it that sparked your attention. So now that's energy, that's time, something that you can't get back. You can pour energy back into yourself, but when it comes to that time, listen, you could have been maybe researching how to make more money. I don't know, how to get your next degree, or how to be a better person, or how to lose 5 pounds. I don't know, right? I don't know, just for whatever. But what I'm saying is that understand that everything you do has its issue. It's going to cost you. So when you talk about these things don't cost you anything, or I got time, I hear people say, I got time today. No, you don't. Nobody has that kind of time, because nobody knows how much time they have. Okay? So that's number 1. Reflect. Where are you leaking energy? Number 2, redirect. Where can you remove, reduce, or rearrange? Right? Like I said before, remove people out of your life. Rearrange some things, right? Rearrange some things, even in your schedule. because you're realizing you're wasting too much time here, so maybe you need to do this over here in order for you to be able to do this over here. You can fill this time with something else, right? Think about that. Rearrange, reduce, or remove some things around in order to get to that point where you're actually reclaiming your energy and your time. And number three, reaffirm what matters to you right now. Because when you talk about rearranging those things in your life, and when you talk about reflecting on where you're putting your energy to, it has to align with what do you need right now. Where are you trying to go right now? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to get to that next level in life? Because I heard a quote that I've never heard before, and I don't know if if Yasmin said it, but I thought it was unique. Or if I don't know if I fed her something and she came up with it, but because she was using my voice. But it says you can't be available for your purpose if you're always on call for your distractions. Honey, and I said that's a whole word, okay? You can't be available for your purpose if you're always on call for your distractions, all right? The moment you take full ownership of your path, the direction becomes clear. You ain't lost, you are being aligned. So that's why it's important for you to make sure that you actually reflect, redirect, and reaffirm when it comes to your time and how you manage your time and how you spend your time. Because listen, we got stuff to do. We got stuff to do. We don't have time to be worried about what nobody think about us. We don't have time to be worried about what kind of box you're supposed to fit in. We don't have time to be worried about somebody else's problems. Even when they call you and you give them some advice, or you lean an ear, or you be that for them, that's okay. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I am saying is that give them only from your overflow, like I said today. And this is what this self-actualized journey is about. Everything that I talk about is connected to, because remember, it's all connected. Because in every level of Maslow's needs of hierarchy, there are sub levels to all the levels, right? Subcategories to all the categories, or whatever, however you want to define it. So this is what we're talking about. How do we get to self-actualization? Because we can feel secure and over here, but still feel unsecure over here. We can feel safe over here, but still have some issues over here. Because safe just don't mean, am I protected this way, right? There's some people that don't even like to go outside by themselves, right? Or whatever the case may be, right? Do they feel safe even in that world? Because in house, yeah, they feel safe, but outside. So what's stopping that? What I'm saying is that we have to be cognizant of these things in our lives so that we can understand why, so we can help and improve ourselves, or direct it, or do whatever we need to do in order so we can be better. Because in order to be your best, in order to be your best, you have to be, or excuse me, in order to be self-actualized, you have to be your best. You can't, I mean, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, because nobody is, right? Nobody is, but you cannot be at the stage where you're still making excuses for your life, or you're still like letting things weigh heavy on you that you can't control. Because one thing about it is that none of this you can control. Whatever's going on out there, just like when I was trying to tell my son the story I told a little while ago, I can't control the way those people process that 1 minute video. I listen, I want them to keep talking about it, because the more they talk about it, the more the video gets pushed, which means the more views we get, which means the more people that will possibly follow us, so that we can get monetized. That was the whole point, right? Because we have a message that goes beyond that 1 minute clip. We have a message that goes beyond that 1 minute clip. So I will not allow them to validate that whole marriage because of that 1 minute clip. And so this is the things that we have to be cognizant of. When we get caught up in that with ourselves or our lives, it exhausts too much energy, right? So moving forward, you have to think about, where am I putting my energy, why, reflect, and move some stuff around, okay? Listen, if you're ready and you know that you are ready, and you say, you know what, I need somebody to help me with this, because I'm tired of trying to figure this out on my own. I am tired of trying to figure this out on my own. Listen, go ahead and shoot me a DM, okay? Because I'm not going to be in y'all's inbox asking you if you need me, okay? Listen, like I said before, when you meet me, you're going to want to work with me, okay? When you meet me, you're going to want to work with me, okay? But at the same time, if you are here and you're not ready for that yet, and you found something from this video to be helpful, show me some love. Go ahead and follow, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, do whatever depending on where you're watching me from. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. And yeah, like I said before, when you meet me, you're going to want to work with me. Bye.